Hey guys, welcome back to my podcast, Tiffany's TVscape. If you're new, just now tuning in, hello, my name is Tiffany. I'm the host of this podcast where we talk about all things Barry. I go over every episode each week. Today we're talking about episode 7, season 3. Um, it's I'm gonna probably sound like a broken record at this point because every episode I'm going, this is crazy. It's too much. I'm scared. It's giving me anxiety, but I'm just telling you right now, I'm gonna be saying all of that and more about this episode. We're getting really, really close to the finale. So close that I feel like I want to throw up because how the heck are we already at the end of the season? Can somebody please explain that to me? How the heck are we already at the end of season 3? It just started. In my head, it just started. So I'm like, there's no way the finale is next week. There's no way. But it is because there's only eight episodes each season. And like I said, we're talking about episode 7 this episode. Wow. This one, you can definitely tell they're setting up for the finale. It's definitely a setup. Everything is just like building up to the finale. It's pretty crazy. Like I said, I'm probably going to keep repeating myself saying the same words over and over again, but it is just so crazy. This whole season, the writers are wilding. Like, y'all are wild for making the season like this. And I feel like that's kind of been like a common theme for TV recently. Like a lot of current shows that are in whatever season they're in, the season is always, it's like crazy. Like Stranger, like I mentioned, I think I mentioned that in my last podcast episode. I was watching Stranger Things season 4, and it was nuts. Like that was the most gruesome season so far. And now like with Barry, I'm like, this is the craziest season. And how everybody's been saying, this one's way darker. It definitely is. And I'm just like, I don't know like where they're going to go from here. I'm assuming it's only going to get darker in the next season. If you guys didn't know, season 4 was confirmed by HBO. So there will be a continuation. Even after the finale, we have more to look forward to. Obviously, I don't know when it will come out. It probably won't be out until next year because they're still filming. But at least we know that's not like the end, It's just, we're just going to have to wait a while for the next season. But I'm still holding on to the fact that this season is going to end on a cliffhanger. I feel like I've been saying that for a while, but I definitely think it's going to end on a cliffhanger, and it'll be a setup for next season for sure. And I'm not looking forward to that because I already know it's going to end, and I'm going to be like, yo, everybody that works on Barry, square up because we need to fight. Like I already know that's how I'm going to feel by the time the episode ends. And then you have to remember each episode is only 30 minutes. Sometimes it's a little under 30 minutes. Sometimes it's only like 27, 28 minutes. So it goes by pretty quick. It goes by like that. And you're just like, what? That's it? And that's kind of how it felt with this episode. Like it showed the last scene and I was like, this better not be where it ends off. And of course, that's how it ended off. So but yeah, before I get into recapping the episode, I did want to say happy birthday to Bill Hader. Obviously, Bill is a co-creator, writer, director, star of Barry. He's literally the whole reason why I'm doing this podcast. If the show didn't exist, I probably wouldn't be doing this podcast. So happy birthday to him. Hopefully he's having a good day. I hope he knows how much his content is really like screwing with our heads. Like, I wonder if he knows like that we literally lose our minds every week when a new episode drops. But yeah, and then I think I talked about in my first podcast episode, by the way, this is like episode 9 for me, you guys. That's crazy too. I feel like I just started doing this podcast and I'm already 9 episodes in. But I believe in my very first podcast episode, I did say kind of how I got into Barry and then a little bit about how like Bill Hader as an actor came on my radar because I really didn't watch the stuff that he was in. That probably sounds bad now, but I really didn't, if I'm being completely honest. Like I obviously knew that he was a part of SNL. I think most people know him from that. Most people know him as a comedian or somebody that did, somebody that always did like funny stuff or did voices and that kind of thing. And I just really didn't watch SNL when I was in high school like that. It wasn't something that I tuned into every weekend. It usually was only like if there was a certain guest on there that I really wanted to see or somebody was going to perform, then I would tune in. But other than that, I really didn't keep up with like the whole cast and everything like that. So he wasn't on my radar for the longest time. And then it really wasn't until It Chapter 2 came out and he played Richie Tozier, which Richie is like one of, if not my favorite fictional characters ever. Like that character means so much to me. I just love that character. And the way he portrayed it was like really, really well. And I felt like he really made that movie, to be honest. And that's no shade to like the other actors, because I love the whole story and its essence. And actually am reading or about to start back reading the novel. It's so long that I have to like take breaks from it, but that's besides the point. So when that movie came out, then I was like, oh, like he's a really good actor. And then I kind of started, watching some of the other stuff that he was in, and of course I got into Barry. So but yeah, he's really talented, definitely like my favorite actor, somebody I really admire. And I'm happy that he's getting all of the success with Barry, and that people are really receptive to the show, and that he's found success outside of SNL, because I feel like it could have been one of those things where like he did SNL and then you didn't really hear from him anymore. So I'm happy for him. So happy birthday to him, and thank you for literally ruining all of our lives with this show. but yeah, let's get into episode 7. So opening scene. We're in a church, and I'm like, okay, what's going on here? Because I already have a bad feeling. Like they're showing everybody in this church, like it's packed, everybody's standing up and singing. And then as the camera is like going closer, and it's like you can tell it's like zooming in on somebody, and I'm like, okay, who is this person? They're zooming in on this guy, and initially I didn't recognize him. I guess I was kind of like slow. I was just like, well, wait, why are they zooming in on this guy? Like something bad is going to happen. Like that was just the feeling I got, like something's going to happen. But nothing happened in the church. They were just showing this guy. Come to find out, this is the guy. This is Ryan Madison's dad. Ryan is the guy that got killed in season 1. Barry was supposed to kill him, but Hank and his men killed him. So if you haven't seen season 1, then you're not going to know what I'm talking about. You have to go back and watch that. I don't want to try to like go through that whole thing because it would just be too much. But he was somebody that was in season 1. He was in the acting class, okay? And that was kind of like the whole reason why Barry went out to LA to do a hit. He was supposed to kill Ryan. And then, things went sideways basically. But Ryan did end up getting shot, so he's dead. So this is his father that they're showing, and I'm like, oh god. It didn't dawn on me, I guess, when they first showed him, but you find out about that later. So that's the opening shot, and you already know it's going to be some mess. You already know it's going to be some mess. I thought something was going to happen while they were in church, but thankfully it didn't. It was kind of just setting up for what was going to happen later. And then we kind of get a snippet of Kusino. He's filming his master class. I believe it's kind of like I guess it's like a TV show, I guess, but they're calling it like his master class. It's supposed to be him like teaching other people how to act basically. And everything with that seems to be going fine. Like that's probably like the one thing throughout this whole episode that was actually okay. Everything else just went to like shit. But yeah, so Kusino actually seems to be doing okay right now. It doesn't seem like there's really anything super like bad happening with him, like before when Barry was kind of chasing after him and all that kind of stuff. And then once he stopped, I think things kind of like slowed down for him. And now he's focused on this masterclass. Now he's doing this. And so when he was doing that, it was actually, I guess it was supposed to be like funny, but when he was doing it, I was actually like, I can actually see Kusino doing something like this. Like, I feel like this would actually work for him, because he's pretty, he could be pretty charismatic. I don't know if that's, maybe that's just Henry Winkler that puts on the charm, but I feel like when he was doing it, like it was actually kind of like fun to watch him do that. And I think if that was like a real thing in real life, that it would probably be successful, like him doing a masterclass. So I thought that was kind of cool that they had him doing that. And then we see Barry. Okay, so if you guys saw the last episode, obviously it ended with him getting poisoned by Chris's wife. So he was definitely poisoned. He was like on the floor seizing. That part was gross, and I was like, ew, ew, ew. And she like got out of there. Like she ran. So I'm assuming that she probably was like, okay, this dude's gonna die, so I need to get out of here and whatever. But she left. So she left him on the floor. He was laying there for like, I don't know how long. It looked like it had to have been hours, maybe even until the next morning. And I would think like if somebody got poisoned and they were just laying there for hours, that they would die, like they would, choke on their own saliva or something. But you know how it is with like TV shows and movies. The serial killer never dies at first. Like he could get shot like 15 times and the serial killer will never die. So he didn't die, obviously. But he was like dreaming and hallucinating. And so you see him like walking on the beach, and there's all these like people, kind of like a group of people ahead of him. And that's kind of mainly like where we see Barry at throughout the entirety of this episode. I don't think he spoke once in this whole episode, which is kind of funny. But yeah, it was literally like him in this hallucination the whole time. And obviously it's because he got poisoned. So now he's like seeing things. And this hallucination is him on the beach, like I said, with all these people. And it really isn't until later in the episode that you realize that these people are like all of his victims. At least that's what I got from it. Because you see Chris, who died, let me stop saying died. Barry killed him, okay? Chris, who got killed in, was that season 1 or season 2? I can't even remember now. But anyway, that was who his friend was. That's who he was friends with, I'm sorry. And he served with him as well. And he killed him. So we saw Chris. When I saw him, and I was like, "Oh, Chris!" And Barry had the nerve to wave at him. I was like, "Excuse me, you killed your friend, and you're gonna wave at him?" Like, I know it's not real; it's just a hallucination. But still, I was like, "You have the nerve to wave at this dude after you shot him." Anyway, so it's like Chris. It's all the people that were part of that monastery shooting at the end of season 2, like Esther and Cristobal's men and Hake's men and stuff. Like Maybarak was there, and I was like, Maybarak, oh, that makes me sad that he died. I don't think I got over that still. That was really sad because I think I talked about that already. He killed him like in an instant, like shot him straight in the head, no remorse, anything like that. So I feel for him for sure. And then and like Fernando, which is Cristobal's father-in-law, who got blown up in the house. We see him and like all these other people, and so I'm pretty sure these are like all his victims. I think that he's killed, just probably in the past, not even recently, just over time that he's killed. So he's killed a lot of people, and I think one thing that people were talking about, or somebody pointed out to me. Or that I guess, did I notice it first? I think somebody pointed out to me that Moss wasn't there. Detective Janice Moss, who we know he killed her in season 2. That was Kusano's girlfriend, obviously. And she was on to Barry. Like she was definitely about to take him in, and he shot her. So, he merely just shot her because he didn't want to get caught, So it was definitely for selfish reasons. It wasn't a hit. It was just like, hey, I need to kill this lady because she's about to arrest me. And so she wasn't in this hallucination. And I think some people were kind of like, was that intentional? Was that an oversight? Like, why was she not there? Because she's one of the, I would say, probably like the main, I don't know how I'd say that. I don't say like the most important kill that he's done, but it's kind of like one of the bigger ones that he's done because she was a cop. And obviously like her case is still open. They're still investigating it. And so obviously that's still a major plot point for this season. And, people were just like, where is she at? Why is she not in this hallucination? So I feel like that was intentional. I think that maybe she could pop up in the finale or something, who knows, but I don't think that was, it wasn't like, oh, we forgot to put her in. I don't think so. I really don't think so. So I'm not sure about that, but we'll see maybe in the next episode or maybe in season 4. I don't know. But I think that will probably be wrapped up next episode for sure. But before I get more into this episode, because there's still a lot to talk about, I just want to remind you guys that my podcast is sponsored by Streann Media. I use their Streann Studio software to stream live every Tuesday on Facebook with you guys. So without them, I wouldn't be able to do that. So thank you to Streann Media for sponsoring my podcast. They have some really cool little features that you guys cannot see from your end. Only I can see it because I'm the podcast host. But if you guys notice, like I always have like these colors, these different borders that I use for my podcast. I always have my name up front. I have the Streann Media logo in the corner. Those are all features of the Streann Studio. And it's something that you guys can do as well. All you have to do is go to studio.streann.com. Streann is spelled with 2 N's. You give them your email, you get a login code, and then you're in. So there's no signing up. You don't have to pay or anything like that. It's free. It's really easy to use. I'm using it, so you know it's easy because I'm not a techie person at all. And yeah, I want you guys to try it out as well. If you're thinking about creating your own podcast or wanting to do live streams or anything like that, definitely check out the Streann Studio software. And I would tag them. You can even tag me as well. I would love to support other content creators. And I just want to see what you guys can come up with it. Like, what kind of stuff do you guys want to do? Because I'm sure it'll probably be like even better than my content. So make sure if you use the Streann Studio software, like I said, you tag them, tag me as well. Or maybe if you're having trouble with it, reach out to me and I can definitely show you how to use it. And yeah, let's get back into the episode discussion. So I don't remember what I was saying. Where did I leave off at? I forgot that quickly. But anyway, let's move on. So Sally is out of a show. As we know, her show got canceled. So now she's taking a job being a writer for a different show because Lindsay, her talent agent, was basically just like, hey, they're offering you this job. I would take it. Like, this is kind of like what you have. Like this is what they're offering, so just take it. And so she reluctantly takes it. And so we see her a part of this writer's room. I forgot what they said this show was called. It's some stupid show about like something having to do with like Medusa or something. But clearly, like in this scene, you could see that Sally doesn't feel like she should be there. Kind of like I don't really belong here type of thing. That's kind of the vibe I was getting. And so when they're kind of going over what should be written in the show, Sally is kind of the only one that speaks up, and she's kind of just like, well, wait, like this doesn't really make sense. Why don't we do it this way? And after that, everybody else that was in the writer's room is kind of like, hey, like that was good on you for speaking up and everything. Because she was speaking to the, I think like the head showrunner, and even he was kind of just like, well, what? Like, you could tell like he kind of wasn't really like receptive to what she was saying. I guess maybe he didn't really understand what she was saying, but she's kind of just like, no, it should be this way. And so I think she still is in that mindset or that head frame of running her own show. And that's clearly what she wants to do, but she can't do that because her show got canceled. So she's kind of just settling for this, basically, is what it is. And I think she's going to struggle with that. And at least that's the vibe I'm getting. And so after that, we see her talking with the other writers, and somebody brings up like, next door, because you hear a bunch of laughter and somebody's like, oh yeah, the people next door, like they think their show is so funny and blah, 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 whatever. Sally looks through the window and it's Natalie. You guys, it's Natalie. So Natalie has her own show. And if you're like, who's Natalie? Natalie was her assistant and her friend. And Natalie was a part of the acting group or the acting class in season 1 and season 2. She's the one that's kind of like, she's kind of like the ditzy, kind of like goofy character in the show. So she has her own show now. I didn't see that coming. I was pretty surprised by that. And I kind of had that theory that like somebody else was going to be successful and Sally was going to see and it was going to like piss her off. So I was right about that, but I thought it was going to be Kusino. I thought like with Kusino having this master class, that Sally was going to see that he was doing well. And she was kind of just going to be like, well, that should be me. Like I should be the one that's like rising to the top, but it's Natalie, which I feel like makes it even worse because like I said, that was her assistant. She was like, just doing stuff for her and everything. Now she has her own show. And so she confronts her in the elevator. And she's just like, you stole my show. Like, what the heck are you doing? You stole my show, and now like like all of a sudden you think you big and bad and you think you all that. Like, really? That's not what she says, but that's that's kind of like, you know, basically she's just pissed and she gets in her face. And I was like, if Sally was really about it, like she really could have hit her if she wanted to. Um, but she didn't. She got in her face, but you could tell that she was like about ready to blow. And she yelled like right like this close in her face. And it was kind of reminiscent to the way Barry got in her face and yelled at her. Except Barry, I don't even think Barry like, I don't know. I think the way Sally did Natalie was actually a little bit worse than Barry, to be honest. Um, you guys can let me know what you think. Like if you feel like maybe Sally's, I don't want to say she's turning into Barry, but is Sally kind of having that same like rage that Barry does? Is what is being with Barry rubbing off on her? Or I shouldn't say being with him because they're broken up, but she's been with him for a while. Like she's kind of known him for a little while now. Like, do you think that's rubbing off on her? Because the way she went off on people, she went off on two different people in this episode. She went off on Natalie and her talent, I think it's her talent manager or her talent agent, Lindsay, later in the episode. So, and she got all up in Natalie's face now. And honestly, like if I was Natalie, I'd be like, girl, you better back up. Like I know we was friends and we was cool and I was working for you and everything, but you don't need to be that close to my face. Like, no. But on the other hand, I do see why Sally is upset, because I would feel some type of way too. Like, again, if that's supposed to be your friend and that's somebody that was formerly your assistant, all of a sudden they have a show and the show is pretty similar to the show that you were just doing that got canceled. Like, yeah, you would feel some type of way too. Because I think Natalie said the show is kind of like about like her and her daughter, and they run like this bakery or something like that. And then obviously with Joplin's Sally's show, it was like her and her daughter, and then the whole aspect of them kind of, I don't know if it was like they were both going through abusive relationships, but basically like it had something to do with, abuse because of what Sally went through in her real life. And so Sally was just like, you never struggled a day in your life. Like you don't even know, like you haven't even been through what I've been through, and you have the nerve to like do this show and everything. And so I don't know, like on one hand, like I said, I kind of, I'm not really mad at Natalie, because I'm just like, if you had the opportunity to get your own show, and if this is something that you've always wanted, like, wouldn't you take it too? But at the same time, I do feel for Sally, because the way her show got canceled was not right. And then now all of a sudden you see her doing well, and it's just like, really, like that's a very similar concept to what I was just doing, and now all of a sudden, so I don't know what's gonna happen there, but all I know is that Sally is, it's not looking too good for Sally. And I kind of predicted that anyway earlier in the season, when it did seem like things were going good for her, like when her show was about to premiere and then she broke up with Barry, and it was like, oh, you go girl, like, yes, like focus on your career and all this stuff. And then of course now everything's like crumbled apart. So I don't know. So you guys can let me know. You guys can comment or tag me, mention me, whatever, like what you think about that. Are you on Natalie's side? Are you on Sally's side? Do you feel for the both of them? I don't know. I kind of feel for both of them. But I still don't think that was right for her to get in her face like that. Although, like I said, I do understand why she would be upset, but it's just like, if I was Natalie, I would have been like, but anyway. And let's see, where do we see Hank? We see Hank in Bolivia. Is he in Bolivia? Yeah, he's in Bolivia, I think. Because he's going after his man, honey. He's trying to get Cristobal back. And y'all, I'm really worried about them as a couple, but I'm worried about Cristobal because we have not seen him for like the past couple episodes. Last we seen of him, his wife Elena came in and took him away, and we have not seen him since. So I don't know what they're doing to him. I don't know if they're torturing him. Like I was kind of like thinking like Elena looks like somebody you don't want to mess with, and now that she knows her husband was cheating, not just cheating, but cheating on her with a man, and a man that's supposed to be their enemies. I don't think I'm pretty sure she's not playing with him. So I'm afraid for him. I don't know what's going on with him. We haven't seen him yet. I'm hoping or assuming that they will show him in the finale, like what's been going on. But yeah, he's in Bolivia and he confronts this guy and he's like, clearly looking for Cristobal and like his family and stuff. And the dude ends up throwing a freaking, not even throwing, but I don't know what they're called, but like those things, like those dart things that you put in and you blow and it goes into somebody's neck. So Hank gets captured. So now he's locked up somewhere. We don't even know where exactly. But he ends up talking to, I think that was Akmal that he was talking to through the room. So clearly he's like right next to him, locked up as well. And he's just like, oh my God, like what's going on? Where are we at? And they don't know. And Akmal tells him like, yeah, they've been torturing us, asking about you and Cristobal. So I really feel like that's the part of it that Elena is really stuck on. I think not even the fact that, well, I'm sure she's upset about her father like dying and everything like that, but I think she's really hurt and really upset the fact that like Cristobal is gay and that he's been sleeping with, like I said, he's been sleeping with this man who's supposed to be their enemy. So, I mean, obviously if I was her, I'd be upset too. So that's what makes me think that like she might be jacking him up. Maybe that's why we haven't seen him. I shouldn't laugh, but I'm just like, oh gosh, like I'm kind of afraid to see if they show him in the next episode, like what he gonna look like, what's gonna happen. I don't know. I'm stressed out. The show is stressing me out, y'all. But yeah, so Hank is locked up along with his men, and we don't know where Cristobal is. Like we know he's probably locked up too, but they're not showing him yet. So it's not looking too good for them. like every character, I'm like, it's not looking too good for them. And we kind of already knew that like the little bliss that they were sharing in the beginning of the season, that wasn't going to last. Like I knew that. I knew that they were probably going to end up getting split apart. And they got split apart like 2 or 3 times, I think, throughout the season. And now it's like, I don't know. I feel like even if they reunite in the finale, it's just not going to be good. I don't know. But I'm like, they better not hurt my baby Hank, because I love Hank so much. Like he's literally my favorite character. I don't see him dying or anything, but like, he could still maybe get beat up or something. I don't know. I just hope nothing bad happens to him. Seriously, like I can't take it. I don't want to see him get hurt. And then okay, Fuchs. I have to look at my notes because so much stuff happens that like sometimes I forget. So we see Fuchs talking with Janice's dad. And he's kind of doing that whole thing of like, hey, I'm a private investigator. I know who killed your daughter. It's Barry Berkman, blah, blah. Like he's been going to all these families who are victims of Barry and of Barry's, like him being a hitman and stuff like that. And, basically just spilling the beans. Like he's not obviously telling the whole truth, but he's going like, hey, like I know who killed your so-and-so. It's Barry. And Fuchs messed up because he went to the wrong person. He went to her dad and was like, they were riding in the car together, and the dude pulls him up to the police station, and all these cops are like outside waiting for him. And so you could tell Fuchs is like, oh, like, yeah, I messed up. And so now they're questioning Fuchs again. And it's funny because like the cop and I forgot the other detective's name, but they're both still thinking it's Fuchs that killed these people and stuff. But Albert, remember Albert? Albert served with Barry. So he knows, he doesn't know that he's a hitman, but like he kind of has some more insight than the other cops do. And he's clearly smarter and like was already kind of suspicious of the fact that Barry was even involved in all of this. Like he's probably just like, why is his name in this, And they were like, oh, we rolled Barry out. But now he's like, no, because his name keeps getting brought up, and we already know that he knows how to shoot because I served with him, and he saw the type of rage that he had because when Albert got shot in the face, Barry went off and went after who he thought shot Albert, and it ended up being like a civilian. So that's why he got discharged. And so, Albert knows that. He knows that. So he has that advantage. And we see Janice's dad is like talking. I think he talked to Albert as well, but he's just like, basically you could tell that like Albert and Janice's dad are both kind of like, wait a minute, like Barry's name keeps getting brought up. Like he definitely has something to do with it. If it's not him, he definitely still has something to do with it. Like the other cops were just kind of like, oh, we ruled him out already, but they're just like, no, they're not buying it. And so I'm like, that's really not good for Barry because now see, he gonna have multiple people coming after him. And then we have a scene where Janice's dad, I don't even know his name. I feel like I should know his name. They probably said his name and I forgot, but I'm just going to keep referring to him as Janice's dad. He goes to Kusino and he mentions how he like talked to Fuchs. He doesn't know that the guy, I don't know if he knows his name is Fuchs though, but he basically like mentions him and he's like, yeah, he told me, you know, Barry did this. And you could see that Kusino is like nervous. And now remember, Barry let him go. He's like, I'm not going to chase after you anymore, whatever. So Kusino is probably like, nah, I don't want to get involved with that again. I'm not going to get involved with that. So he lies and he's just like, yeah, no, I like, no, he didn't do this. He's a good kid. He didn't do this. And he's kind of just blaming it on like the whole, I think he said like the whole like Bolivians versus Chechens thing, like them trying to say it had to do with like a gang war, basically. That's what he's kind of blaming it on. But the dad can see through that. The dad mentioned earlier in the scene with Fuchs that when he served, that he knows how to read people. Like he could tell when somebody's lying. He just naturally could see that. And so clearly he could see that Kusino is lying because there's a part where they zoom in on Kusino's forehead and you can see that he's sweating. And that's obviously like a telltale sign that somebody is lying, that somebody is nervous. And yeah, like I said, the dad ain't buying it. Like he's definitely seeing now that it is Barry, or that Barry definitely has something to do with it. And I'm just like, oh God, this is too much. All these people are gonna go after Barry. Like I know people have already kind of started going after him, but there's more. There's more now. Now there's more people that know. And I think that's what makes the stakes so much higher. That's what makes this season so much like crazier, is because in the first two seasons, the only person that really knew that he was a hitman or that he was that that he was that kind of person was Fuchs. And then I guess you could say Hank too, because Hank is like obviously involved in that world. But back then you knew they weren't going to tell because they were involved in it too. But now it's not contained anymore. There's too many people that know about Barry. And so it's like, how are you going to escape that? Like, how are you going to get away from all these people? And I feel like that's going to be the big question, going into next season, at least for me. I'm just like, how the heck are you going to keep getting away with all this stuff? Because too many people know about you now. Maybe they don't know exactly that he's a hitman, but they know that he killed somebody, somebody in their family or somebody that they knew. And it's like, if they start linking up and finding out that like, wait a minute, Barry killed your daughter. Oh, he killed my son. Oh, he killed my friend. It's all going to be over. Like, I'm telling you, more people are going to come after him. And I just don't know like how he's going to get around that. Like, I don't know. So I'm really interested to see what's going to happen in the finale. And then how is it going to lead into season 4, basically? How is there even going to be a season 4? Like, how is he going to keep getting away with this stuff? I think is what I'm asking. Yeah, it's crazy. Again, you could count how many times I've said crazy throughout like every podcast episode that I do, but I don't know how else to describe it. Like it's insane. It's too much. Like, could you imagine like actually being involved with all this stuff in real life? I would lose my mind for real. Like I'm losing my mind over a TV show and it's fictional. So just imagine if this was like real. And another thing too is like it's only a matter of time before Sally finds out. Because Kusino already knows, like, I don't think he's gonna say anything because he doesn't want to be on Barry's bad side. Like he just wouldn't be involved in that, of course. But yeah, it's gonna get out. Like more people are gonna know. So I'm just like, God, if it gets back to her, I don't know what she's gonna do or how she's gonna react. I honestly don't know. That's kind of always what I would have wondered too since the beginning of like, what's gonna happen when Sally finds out? Like I know they're not together anymore, but just man, like I think she's gonna be sick about it because the fact that she was with him and then the the fact that she was married to somebody that was abusive to her. Then she'll know that she's been with 2 different abusive men. And Barry is like way worse than her husband. Like, yeah, her husband was not good either, but Barry is like he kills people. So I don't know how she's going to react whenever she finds out. I don't know. But that's what I'm kind of waiting to see too. And I'm waiting to see how exactly she's going to find out. I don't know, but it's going to come back to her at some point. If it's not in the finale, it'll be next season. She's going to have to find out eventually. And I kind of want her to, because I feel like that's going to make it more, that'll make it more intense, which is exactly what we need, right? That's exactly what we need, more intensity, because it isn't like this show isn't already intense in itself. But yeah, let me take a break. Let's take an ad break and talk about Streann Media, because my podcast is sponsored by Streann Media. And did you know that I use their Streann Studio software to make this podcast? Okay, let me not say it like that, because that actually sounds kind of dumb. But yeah, it really is. My podcast really is sponsored by Streann Media. If you didn't know, now you know. That's how I'm able to stream live every Tuesday at 1 p.m. with you guys. Let's see. I really want to show... And again, I know I always say this, but like for people that are listening, like if you're listening to this on Anchor or Spotify, you have no idea what I'm talking about because you're not seeing me on video. So sorry to you guys. You're just going to have to watch on Facebook or YouTube. But I did want to kind of do a quick little, I don't know if you call it tutorial, but just to kind of show you guys like how I can kind of play around with the features so that if you're thinking about using Streann Studio software, or maybe if you want to create your own podcast or create your own content, if you want to do live streaming, and you're kind of like, well, hey, like, how do I do this? What can I do with this? Let me show you a little bit. I'm just going to go ahead and change my name real quick. And then put like, I don't know. What should I put? Let's put Berry Fanatic. That should just be my name for like every podcast episode. I'll be like, hey guys, it's Berry Fanatic. And then let's even go ahead and change the background, because why not? Ooh. See, you could do so many cool little things here. Okay, now I don't even remember which background it was on. Oh shoot. Was it on this one? I don't even remember. Oh, well, but you're able to see it in real time. So that's cool. That's what I wanted to show you guys. And then if you do notice too, like in the beginning, before I even start the episode, sometimes when I'm still kind of like, getting my notes together, I'll play an intro and it will do like this countdown of like 15 seconds. And then, the camera will be on and you'll be able to see me. That's part of their Streann Studio software as well. That's not me creating my own thing. That's all them. These are all the features that they've created that I use. None of this stuff that I'm doing, it's like, it has nothing to do with me. This is all like pre-installed. So anybody that uses Streann Studio software can do this. It's really easy, really simple. I always relate it to Zoom. If you know how to get on Zoom, if you know how to do like Google Meet or anything like that, you can figure this out as well. It's very simple. And it's kind of fun to play around with. I try to mix it up a little bit with each podcast episode. Like I said, I try to change the background and everything. But once I get guests, I think I'll be able to like play around with it a little bit more. And then you guys will be able to see what it looks like when I have, another person on or a couple people on or anything like that. And then I believe I've also showed you guys the ticker before, how you can kind of put a banner either on top of the video or on the bottom. I would do that, but I feel like I just feel like I'm going to do that and then not want to take it off. So I'm just going to leave it alone for now. But yeah, so you guys can see all the different little changes that you can make. I'm just going to leave the Berry Fanatic there for now, just so you guys can see that. And then, yeah, so if you guys use Streann Studio, or if you use anything from Streann Media, like tag me, tag them, let us know that you're using it. And yeah, there you have it. There it is. Let's see. I seriously cannot remember like the last thing I was saying about the episode, because so much stuff happened. I know I keep saying that, but it really didn't. And it's like I said, it's really just building up to the finale. You could tell that this episode was literally made for that, like literally to build up to the finale. Let's just jump right into the ending scene because I kind of want to talk about this. So the last shot is of Albert getting his gun and he sets off. And so we already know as an audience, like, he's going after Barry. I would be surprised if he's not, but I'm pretty sure he's going after Barry, because it's, like I said, it's just all clicking in his head, like how Barry's name keeps getting brought up about, Detective Moss's case and stuff. He already has that connection with Barry because he served with him. He's seen the way he's able to shoot. He's seen like the type of rage that he's capable of. And then he, before that, he had a conversation with Fuchs. And see, you guys have to let me know if you've seen this. So I was a little bit confused about that when he was I don't want to say interrogating, but when he was asking Fuchs questions, I didn't think Fuchs was going to give away as much information as he did, but he's still not giving him, obviously, like the full story. He's not being 100% honest. And he had the chance to do that, to full on just say everything, but he didn't. So I don't know. But I was a little confused because I'm kind of just like, well, he said that he's Barry's manager. Because Albert asked him, like, how do you know Barry? Like, what's your connection to him? And he goes, oh, I'm his manager. But then he goes on to talk about Chris. And he, clearly implies that, like, Barry was the reason for his death, and how, Chris was kind of just like in the wrong place at the wrong time, like how he kind of just got mixed up and everything. Because I think the media and the cops, they all ruled Chris's death as a suicide. And I'm pretty sure, like, when Barry shot him, he kind of like placed the gun in a way that made it look like, he shot himself in the car. But we obviously know that that's not what happened. So he basically just told that, but then I don't know. So I was kind of confused about that because I'm like, what are you playing at here, Fuchs? Like, are you willing to spill everything, or are you just kind of like giving this man crumbs so that he could figure it out himself? I don't know, because I'm just like, if they figure out that you were the one assigning the hits to him and everything, like, you're involved in this too. I know Barry is the one that's been killing people, but Fuchs is not innocent either. Like, he was involved in all of this. He was making money off of it. So I'm just kind of like, what are you really doing here? Like, I know you want to get back at Barry, but it's just like, come on, man. Like, you need to let it go, because this is clearly like not only getting him in trouble, but now it's getting you in trouble. And then it's going to get other people that were involved in trouble. And it's just too much. I don't know why he didn't just leave it alone. I guess he just can't help it. I don't know. But yeah, so I was a little bit confused about that, because I was kind of just like, well, what, like, is he really just trying to get Albert to go after Barry? Because I thought he wanted to, to get Barry, but I don't know. I don't know about that. You guys can let me know what you thought. But either way, I'm like, I knew Albert, even if Fuchs had not said anything, Albert was going to figure it out. Because like I said, he's the smarter cop, detective, whatever, out of everybody. And he could clearly see that Barry had a connection to all this because his name kept getting brought up. And he could see that, that wasn't a coincidence. So I knew as soon as they showed him, assigned to the case, I was like, he's going to figure it out. Like, there's no way he's not going to figure it out. So now the question is Albert going to die? A lot of people were saying, well, I guess people were basically saying, like, we know somebody's probably going to die in the finale. Shoot, it might be more than one person. Who knows? But somebody's going to die in the finale. And we're like, who do we think it is? Is it Albert? Is it going to be Cristobal? Is it going to be like Elena, or I don't know, like one of the other like kind of background characters? I don't know. I definitely don't think it'll be Hank. Like, Hank is just too well loved. Like, I really don't see them killing him off. If he got killed off, there would be like riots in the streets. So I don't think he'll die, but I think Cristobal is in danger of dying, unfortunately. Albert is definitely in danger of dying, because if he goes after Barry, like, obviously, well, you know what? Barry's in the hospital.